This story will cover from then to now and next, all about change, how to turn losers into winners.
A secret part of southwest England, in one of the most beautiful and much visited places in the country. But man seldom ventures in here. It's dark, cold, and dangerous. So why is this person here? What's he looking for? On this hidden beach, inside a cliff. He's been spotted. Into the brilliant summer sunshine of the Cornish coast. Home to Stephen Westcott and the seals. Tourists flock to this wild coast of Cornwall, mainly in the summer of course, but at any time a fierce storm can blow in from the Atlantic and batter the cliffs and its occupants. Seals exposed out there are in considerable danger, however good swimmers they appear to be. Stephen's research means he must try to meet the seals on their terms, and it's not easy in a place like this. Seals try to avoid people around here and have been restricted to the least accessible areas. So Stephen has to become a seal, and we'll become a seal watching him. The real seal has survived the storm and found safety in this remote cave. Stephen dislikes disturbing these shy animals, but it's actually in their own long-term interests, as we'll see. No real harm is done at this time of year. Later, in the breeding season, Stephen may find a pup here as he checks the population. Why is it decreasing? And why might that please fishermen? From the seal's point of view, and this is it, they just have to survive. And that means avoiding people if possible, rearing a family, and finding enough food, fish, the source of a problem that Stephen's trying to resolve. It's not going to be easy getting to grips with his quarry. He's got to work out how to approach them, and this means understanding how they see him. Can he get closer, or will they approach him? They're curious, inquisitive. They see him as a new item on the scene. Interesting, but possibly dangerous. Can he get their confidence? He sounds interesting. Individual grey seals vary, and part of Stephen's population study involves recognizing each one, if possible. It's not easy sometimes when they're moving in the swell. It's quite the opposite when they join him on the land. At a distance, they just look like rocks, 40 of them. And he has to too, making a cautious approach. He knows how nervous they can be out on an open beach, although this one's very secluded. A brief row. They're pretty relaxed, mostly. Someone's usually got an eye open. And here's a surprise. Come to check out that new seal, perhaps. Another photo for the family album. And another, a relative perhaps. That's pretty close. But seals are seldom so confiding on land, and this was a couple of lucky moments. They're in their real element, in the sea, but it's often difficult to see them well down here in the murk. This one, when he surfaces in this pool, gets a good view of Stephen. Another lucky chance for our man on the rocks. Another picture for the book. Now then, what's this? They may be becoming used to Stephen, but their curiosity is rekindled today. They're not to know it's called a wave ski, and that it's Stephen's latest attempt to get to grips with them in the sea. It certainly puts him at seal's eye level, at least on the surface. But down below, they're in a different world. Hardly a sparkling coral reef. They're indistinct and distinctly nervous. But below the wave ski, they move on together. One man, two seals, and a fish called a pollock. Part of the problem. But the seals seem to trust him and the wave ski now. And then, after more watching each other and waiting, the best of all. You couldn't get much closer than this, in the sea. And then it's goodbye. Time to go fishing. The problem, it's not the place, it's full of life here. Plankton gatherers of all sorts. And a sea slug not of much interest to our hungry seal. Likewise, a discarded tire. Yes, unwelcome rubbish, but it's probably home to someone. Like a starfish, heading for it on a myriad of tiny feet. The seal spots a crab, and we're now getting to the problem. A spider crab not valued much by fishermen or seals, which is probably good for the crab, if a crab can look cheerful. But these creatures, crabs and fish, is where the tricky bit begins. From the homely lumpsucker to the migrating salmon, the competition is on. Pollock are caught selectively by seals and often unselectively by fishermen's nets, and then thrown away, dead. This is more what they want. Flatfish. Camouflage may help to hide them from a seal, but not from trawls or nets. Everything on the bottom, including disposable starfish, is scraped up to get a few choice items. But they're getting rarer all the time. Particularly this one. It used to be abundant, everyone's fish, with chips. And now it seems the cod has had its chips, overfished to near extinction. Seals compete and get the blame. And sea lions. That's the case in North America, not here. Amazingly though, one has turned up near our seal. Really a surprise. An aggressive fellow. Stephen's study is trying to show how predators and prey connect here. Seals and fishermen are part of it, and so is this. Basking sharks that feed on the basis of the whole food web, plankton, not people. And now this, the world's second biggest fish, is endangered due to demand for its fins, often cut off the living fish, as a rich man's delicacy. They may be prettier than sharks, but looks don't protect seals. They certainly eat fish. They have to survive. But to what extent they compete directly with man is not known. They're the obvious scapegoat. The more overfishing and wastage like this grows, the more the pressure will be to kill the seals, reduce their population. Is there a tolerable number? Stephen needs to know, and he needs to explain to an increasingly confused public what is going on.
You can have rested ears and just enjoy the atmosphere of being off the Devon coast and among whatever wildlife is out there to be seen.
From Dartmouth in Devon, they visit seals to see how they live.
River that we're leaving behind us today. If you look over your left-hand shoulders, it's about 8 kilometers.
And not only seals, but sea birds which live alongside the seals. They all eat fish, a potentially renewable resource. But at the moment, it's running out, and the seals will suffer. From their point of view, the future is not good, at least here in the southwest of England. Elsewhere, in Scotland for example, There are plenty of seals, and that's too many for struggling fishermen. Cormorants and shags find safety on the island. Fishermen don't like them either, increasing competition for a declining food supply, and everything will be affected in the future. The future of fisheries worldwide is uncertain, with almost every major fishery overfished. In Britain now, quotas have been severely cut to save the species. Cornish fishermen are faced with a 41% cut in the hake quota and a loss in income of £2 million. In 1999, cod was worth 40 million to the Scottish fishing industry, but now, with cod nearly extinct in the North Sea, the quota's cut by 45%. So there's increased pressure on those other innocent fishermen. Here, a seal drowned in a net is reduced to a sandy lump. And a dolphin, perhaps attracted to fish already caught, is another casualty. And the fisherman has lost his nets and more money. But it's not all losing life, money and nets. Some winning goes on at the National Seal Sanctuary. Rescued seals are cared for, and today 2 are being returned to the sea. Whether they'll survive into the future remains to be seen. Hopefully, they won't be back.
Which end?
Here comes the first view of the sea since they were a few weeks old. Number 2 is less enthusiastic, needs a bit of encouragement down the beach. Cornwall in midsummer is spectacular, and places like Kynance Cove and National Trust property deserves its protected status and gets its crowds on a hot weekend. Through them pushes a man with an odd item, a wave ski. They don't know what Stephen knows and where he hopes it is. It's not far as the gull flies, but it's quite a paddle. Fortunately, it's a calm day, and he makes good progress. Yes, a seal, but is it a mother? The first pup of the season. Just what Stephen was hoping for. It'll shed its white coat. Meanwhile, it should be safe here in its secret cave. Later, it may be visible in the cove below. Suddenly, it gets busy. A fight down the beach. It's all new. They are leaving. He follows. Or tries to. The others return, including the mother. They watch the progress. And the tide drops. Life returns to normal. On a quiet, empty beach, they lie there like a couple of people, enjoying the seashore. Like Stephen Westcott, in fact, now achieving his great ambition to be really close to a seal on land. They're both relaxed. One's got a camera, the other's got something else as well. An uncertain future, which Stephen's trying to resolve. Well, let's give him a sense of humor.
So how uncertain is the future for the seals of Cornwall? We'll find out by travelling into the wild woods and secret creeks of a place called Gweek in South Cornwall, not far from Helston. Our safari will take us to a fantastic place for grey seals, just down the road. It's early spring, a great time to visit this lovely place, and the public flock to the Cornish Seal Sanctuary, especially at feeding time. Today they're joined by an intrepid film crew, not exactly like Stephen Westcott in a wild cave, but there are dangers. Seals are born to bite, to chase and grab slippery, quick fish. Both a convalescing pup and an apparently friendly adult, they need to be watched carefully. They know it's feeding time, and the show is about to start.
So Snoopy was brought to us from...
All this began back in the winter of 1958 when Ken and Mary Jones rescued a very young pup. This eventually led to this place, where most seasons over 50 pups are cared for by the team.
Ray is one of our rescues from 2001 at Widmouth Bay, and unfortunately he was caught up in quite a heavy storm and bashed about against a few rocks. So he does have displaced lenses in both eyes, as well as a small degree of brain damage. Now, as far as we're aware, the brain damage does just make Ray very playful, and he seems to prefer the company of humans. So during a pool cleaning session, he may chew on the end of our wellies, drag the broom into the pool and play around with the water jets. Now, Ray is the only seal that I know that has his own Facebook page, so if you go on Facebook and give Ray the seal a like, you'll be kept up to date with all of his antics, as well as many of the other residents here at the sanctuary. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce you to Badger, who's...
There's a feeding frenzy at one end of the convalescence pool, including very noisy gulls. But at the other end, Ray gets his own personal service. And he's quickly becoming a real celebrity seal. Smile, please. They also have sea lions, otters, penguins, and common seals here. And visitors can pledge against overfishing and plastic litter polluting increasingly the world's oceans. Here's a graphic example made up from plastic cable ties, which are often washed up. It turns out that Ray, with his fame, can draw attention now to a problem that can be solved when the people see what is needed, and the media can certainly help show them what it's like being a seal.